Welcome to our game, Hopscotch, Group 27. It is a 3D platforming game. Let me turn the volume up a little bit further actually. There we go. So here is our controls. We've got WSD to move, mouse to look, space to jump, E for our hook shot, mouse 1 to attack, control to crouch, mouse 2 to zoom, and escape to pause, and it all works with controller as well. So hopping straight into the game right here, we have seen that our first flies have been taken by the Ratscallions, these guys here. So these are our enemies in the game and they will attack us as soon as they see us in a 65-degree cone. These are our fuzz flies, and when we pick them up, they pop up in the left-hand corner, saying how many is left in the scene and how many we've collected. So, our enemies will attack us and will deal damage to us, as we can see there. Let's kill these guys. And here we have some of the lovely residents that live in the village. Up here we have another checkpoint, which is these big mushrooms that makes a boing noise when you trigger the collectible. It's another fly. So if we head back over to the other island now, I'll show you what happens when the player dies. And this applies to a lot of things. The player can die from the water, from the fly trap, and from these enemies here. The player can also, by the way, hookshot the enemies, which is a cool little, neat little feature, where they pull the enemies closer to them. This is the hook shot. We can hook shot onto all of these targets. We press E and it basically pulls the player towards the target. So there we go, the rat killed me and I spawned at the nearest checkpoint that I've just set off. There's multiple ways to get around the map. You can go left or right in most situations. And there is a different variation in platforming. So the lily pads here and the fly traps act as environmental hazards. The lily pads sink and then arise after a certain amount of time, and the fly traps close. If the player is standing in the middle of the fly trap when it closes, they will die. Let me show you. There you go. And if the player touches the water, they will also die. So if the lily pad shrinks whilst the player's on it, sinks whilst the player's on it, the player will die. Here we have some more platforming. The logs act as a little bit of a safety barrier, breaks up the platforming elements, and means that it gives the player a little bit of a break. If we come on over to the rock section away from the swamp, we have two little friends here to meet us. Let's kill them really quick. Let's head up the rock face. At the top of here we'll find another checkpoint and another hook shot. Again, like I said, there's multiple ways to go about which way you go around the map. This is probably the easiest route to do it. So the rats won't follow me over this bridge because the nav mesh does not allow them to, and it means that they will return to their home position, their original position they started at. If I jump down here, collect this collectible and set off this other mushroom, we now have this little platforming area, which is quite difficult sometimes. But it adds a little bit of a challenge for the player as well. In the top right hand corner you will have seen the UI. This is our health indicator. Basically every time we take a hit it decreases by 1, and we can take 3 hits before we respawn at the checkpoint. Some areas require a crouch jump, such as this area here. It's just a little bit too high to normally jump. So if we crouch and then jump, we can clear it quite easily. So the audio runs with a spatial sound. Some audios are 2D, and that means that they can be heard from everywhere. That is for the player's hurt noises, and also the menu UIs, menu audios. The flies have a 3D spatial sound to them, which means when the closer you get to them, the louder the sound becomes. And the ding there for picking up the collectible is an example of 2D spatial audio. All audio runs through the main mixer, which allows it to be controlled as one instead of many. So here we have more flies. Let me collect this real quick. We did a lot of bug fixing on the game before the final week. It allowed us to iron out a lot of issues that we had. And this mountain section was made with Pro Builder and was made quite late onto the project. And because it was made into Pro Builder, it allowed us to export it and texture it to save time. One of the major bugs within the game is that the hook shot doesn't have a range. It is constantly infinite. So that means you can hook shot from very far away. However, this is good because it allows people to speedrun the game. It allows them to have a little bit more fun, and it allows the community to have a bit of a better fun time together. So here is the other route that the player can take through the swamplands. It's more of a platforming section. It's a little bit more difficult than the hookshot section we took before. So as you can see, when we died, the enemies respawned over there. When we collect the last collectible, it will resend us back to the menu and we can choose to play again. However, I'm going to choose to quit, which will also take us back to the menu. That's our game. Thank you for joining the video. Thank you for viewing it. I hope you all have a lovely day.